25 NBA firsts, 0 repeats, 100% history-changing moments. From the player who scored first to the owner who got banned first. These moments didn't just happen, they built the league. And I guarantee, at least 5 of these will make you pause the video and say, wait, what? This is pure NBA history. No filler, no fluff. Just 25 moments that changed basketball forever. Don't believe me? Let's start with the most obvious one that's actually completely wrong. Comment virgin if you think you know who scored the first NBA basket, because what I'm about to tell you will shatter everything you thought you knew. Before we dive deep, here's 5 firsts in 30 seconds that you might miss if you don't pay attention. First dunk ever documented, Joe Fortenberry, 1936 McPherson Globe Refiners. Although Bob Kurland was known for popularizing them in the 1940s, first three-pointer in NBA, Chris Ford, 1979. First player ejection lost to history, 1946. First overtime game, November 1946. First sellout crowd, December 1946. Now, let's get into the real stories that shaped the league. November 1st, 1946, Madison Square Garden. And the first NBA basket ever scored was a basic layup by Ossie Scheckman. This is the most important shot in basketball history. Not Jordan's shot, not Curry's threes. This layup. But here's where it gets controversial. The league was called the BAA back then. So, should this even count as the first NBA basket? Comment counts or doesn't count. This is about to get heated. Imagine being Aussie. You're just trying to score, and accidentally you become basketball immortality. That's main character energy that would break the internet today. But, surprise, the same team that won the first game also lost the first game. We're not talking about Toronto's 0-1, we're talking about the first 1-1. Bet you didn't see that coming. The New York Knicks beat Toronto 68-66 in Game 1. Then immediately got reality checked by Cleveland in Game 2. That's the most New York thing ever. Celebrate too hard after one win, then get humbled the next day. Pause the video right now if you think that's impossible. I'll wait. Some things never change. That's like going viral on TikTok one day and then getting shadow banned the next. But speaking of getting humbled, wait until you hear about the team that redefined failure. 1947-48 season, Providence Steamrollers, 6 wins, 42 losses. 6 wins in an entire season. This is absolutely the worst record in NBA history. No chance any team will ever be this bad again. The league won't allow it. That's worse than the worst 2K My Career team. These guys were living a nightmare in real life. Drop a skull if you ever had a season this tragic, because this is legendary levels of losing. But losing games is one thing. What happened next changed the league forever. The 1950s, Minneapolis Lakers versus Rochester Royals, and somebody threw hands. Here's the wild part, no detailed records exist. We know there was a fight, but nobody knows exactly who or at what moment during the game. Could this be the most mysterious moment in NBA history? Imagine starting in the first NBA fight ever, and history forgets your name. That's the ultimate L in the social media age. These days, one shove gets you suspended for 3 games. Back then, they probably just said, walk it off. But if you think early NBA chaos was wild, wait until you see where they played these games. Madison Square Garden, 1968. Still standing. Still hosting games, still overpriced as hell. Think about this. 100% of players who retired in the 80s played in the same building where guys are playing today. This arena has seen more NBA history than any other building on Earth. Comment your favorite arena you've been to, because MSG might be historic, but is it actually good? The debate continues. Speaking of things that lasted forever, the first basketball shoes are still being worn today. Converse Chuck Taylor All-Stars, the OG basketball shoe from the 1910s to the 1960s. These days, players get new colorways every week. Back then, one shoe, one color, and you were grateful. Minimum cushioning, zero technology, 100% pure basketball. Imagine LeBron showing up in basic canvas shoes. He'd retire at halftime and demand a Nike contract. But speaking of entertainment, the first NBA mascot was absolutely unhinged. 1969, Chicago Bulls, Benny the Bull, the original chaos agent. This dude has been terrorizing referees for over 50 years. That's longer than most marriages last. Real question, what's your favorite mascot moment? Because Benny's highlight reel is undefeated. But while Benny was learning to entertain crowds, some teams were learning how to win championships. Philadelphia Warriors 1947 beat Chicago 4-1, the first NBA champions ever. No social media, no highlights, no parade, no ring ceremony. Just, good job guys, see you next season, different times. But individual awards, these took a while to figure out. 1955-56, Bob Pettit, the first NBA MVP ever. The NBA existed for 9 years before they decided to give out an MVP award? What the helly? That's like your job existing for 9 years before Employee of the Month. Somebody was definitely bitter. 25.7 points, 16.2 rebounds. In today's NBA, those are video game numbers. But offense gets all the love. Defense, that took even longer. 1982-83, Sidney Moncrief, first Defensive Player of the Year. The NBA waited 37 years to create a defensive award. There's no respect for defense, and all respect to my birth year. 82 was a year for great things, obviously. That's like finally thanking your designated driver after 37 years. Oh yeah, thanks for keeping us alive. Who's the best defender you've ever seen? Because Moncrief started a legacy that's still going strong. But before there were awards, there were just buckets. And some buckets changed everything. April 2014, Donald Sterling, Los Angeles Clippers, the first NBA owner to get the ultimate punishment. Banned for life, and rightfully so. This wasn't about basketball. This was about racist comments that got leaked to the world. $2.5 million fine, forced to sell the team. The NBA said, we don't want your money or your presence. Think about this. You own $1 billion franchise and still get kicked out forever. That guy with a slim build, glasses, and iconic superhero bald head was fucking around? Huh? Comment justice if you think the punishment fit the crime, because Adam sent a message that day. But speaking of sending messages, wait until you hear about the team that scored 100 points when that was impossible. January 1st, 1947, St. Louis Bombers, 103 points against Chicago. In 1947, scoring 100 points was like landing on the moon. Impossible. At the time, this was the most revolutionary offensive performance in early NBA history. Now teams score 130 and we're like, decent offense, different standards. What's the highest scoring game you've ever seen live? Because 103 points used to be legendary. Speaking of legendary, the first Big Three changed basketball forever. Boston Celtics, Bill Russell, Sam Jones, Tom Heinsohn, the original super team. These guys won 29 championships together, combined. Sheesh. Might not ever see dominance like this again. The league won't allow it. Maybe they should have unrolled the CBA back then. Every super team since then, they're just copying the Celtics' homework. This was the blueprint. Best Big Three of all time? Comment your pick, but remember, these guys did it first. But who was running the show while all this history was happening? Maurice Podoloff, 1946 to 1963, the man who basically invented the NBA as we know it. This guy took a random basketball league and turned it into a billion-dollar empire. Put some spec on his name. Imagine being the first person to figure out how to make basketball profitable. What if we charged people to watch? Now commissioners make $50 million a year. Maurice probably made $50 a week. But not everyone in NBA history gets a happy ending. Ralph Kaplan, 1951, permanently banned for point shaving in college. This man got banned from the NBA for something he did before the NBA. The NBA doesn't play when it comes to integrity. This set the precedent that your past follows you. No second chances for gambling. The league learned early, protect the game at all costs. But sometimes the league makes mistakes with good people too. Jack McKinney, Lakers, 1979-80, fired after a bicycle accident. This man got fired because he crashed his bike. No basketball reasons at all. That's the most unfair firing in NBA history, no debate. His replacement, Paul Westhead, won a championship that same year. Sometimes life is just cruel. Worst reason you've ever been fired? Because Jack's story takes the cake. But some players didn't wait to get fired, they just left. George Mikan, 1954, age 29, retired to pursue a real career. The man was a legend, 5 championships, and he just walked away at 29. That's like LeBron retiring in 2014 to become an accountant. Absolutely unthinkable. But you know what? Family first. Mikan knew what mattered. 100% respect for that decision. Speaking of knowing when to quit, Nat Hickey, Providence Steamrollers, age 45 years, 363 days. Still the oldest player to ever play in an NBA game. This man was playing basketball with grandpa energy. Oldest person you've ever hooped with, because Nat was out there breaking age barriers. But some rivalries are timeless. Celtics versus Lakers, 1950s, still going strong in 2025. 75 years later, and we're still talking about Celtics versus Lakers. I'm familiar with generational wealth, but generational hatred? Yeah. 12 finals matchups, 35 combined championships, the greatest rivalry in sports history. Team Celtics or Team Lakers? This is where friendships end. Pick a side right now. Comment Celtics or Lakers. The internet is about to be divided. But rivalries are just competition. Sometimes teams need to make bigger changes. Philadelphia Warriors, 1962. Moved to San Francisco. First franchise relocation ever. Imagine waking up and your favorite team just moved across the country. No warning, just gone. Now we have the Golden State Warriors. Same franchise, different coast, different century. Has your team ever moved? Because that heartbreak hits different. But some changes are for the better. Los Angeles Lakers, 1979. The Laker Girls, entertainment revolution. Jerry Buss said games were quiet and boring, so he added dancers. Imagine being so bored at a basketball game that you invent an entire industry. You know what this needs? Choreography. Now every team has dancers, mascots, t-shirts, cannons. Jerry started it all. Best halftime show you've ever seen? Because the Laker Girls started this revolution. Entertainment is one thing. Breaking barriers, that's everything. Bill Russell, Boston Celtics, 1966. Player, coach, history maker. This wasn't just about basketball. This was about changing America. Russell was playing and coaching, leading by example on and off the court. In 1966, this was earth-shattering. Today we have coaches like Doc Rivers, Ty Lue, and Ime Udoka leading championship teams. Russell didn't just break barriers, he built the foundation. Who's your favorite coach of all time? Because Russell set the standard for leadership. And speaking of setting standards, December 26, 1964, Boston Celtics again. 5 black players starting together. Bill Russell, Sam Jones, Casey Jones, Satch Sanders, Willie Knowles. Legends, all of them. This was 1964. Civil Rights Act had just passed. This lineup was a statement. No chance this happens without Red Auerbach's vision. He didn't care about race, he cared about winning the race. These 5 could play. They weren't just making history, they were winning championships. Best starting 5 you've ever seen? These guys were pioneers and champions. But sometimes history happens when you least expect it. March 2020, Rudy Gobert. The moment everything stopped. One positive test, entire league shut down. Sports world changed forever. Rudy probably wasn't patient zero, but he was the first we knew about. That moment led to the bubble. Empty arenas, masks on the bench, basketball was never the same. Could this be the moment that divided NBA history into before and after COVID? Where were you when the NBA shut down? Because we all remember that day. And that brings us to our final first of this volume. It was the same guy who scored the first basket. Aussie Sheckman again. This man really said, I'm gonna be in this video twice. Big main character energy. Will anyone ever dominate NBA first like Aussie did on November 1st, 1946? From the first basket to the first free throw, Aussie started it all. That's legendary status. Comment Aussie if you think this man deserves more recognition, because he's the ultimate NBA virgin and most never even heard of him. And that's 25 occasions of virgins of the NBA losing their virginity. 25 NBA firsts, 0 repeats, 100% history-changing moments. From awkward baskets to league-altering decisions, these moments didn't just happen, they created the NBA we know today. But here's the thing, this is just volume 1. We've got more volumes coming and I guarantee each one will be more unhinged than the last. Volume 2, we're diving into the weirdest NBA first you never heard of. First player to get a tattoo, most technical fouls, first player to eat pizza during a game. Yes, that actually happened. The comments are about to be wild. Which first shocked you the most? Which one do you think shouldn't count? Catch me in the comments, I'll be there. If this video doesn't hit 100k views, that'll be another first to add to the next volume. Drop a basketball if you're part of the 100k. Drop a skull if you think I'm crazy. Drop a crown if you're ready for volume 2. Smash that subscribe button because volume 2 is dropping soon, and trust me, you're not ready for what we found. Because in the NBA, every legend started as a virgin. The question is, who's losing their virginity next?